What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't. So, damn. First off, you gotta say you hope Kawhi is okay. You gotta hope that Kawhi's back will be able to hold up. It's back spasms. You never want to hear anything like that. And who knows how severe it is, because, listening to Ty Lue say in the post game after they lose to the Timberwolves by being up by 20 once again, that, Kawhi was going through this a few days ago and a few days prior to this game. And he just kind of, they didn't know whether Kawhi was actually going to play this game or not. But he came out, he played, and he only can, go through like one quarter, basically like a half of the game. And then he had to leave, and he had to leave the arena because his back was bothering him that bad. And when you have a situation like that with your back, I can tell you that's nothing to play with. We've seen the superstar Dwight Howard years ago, how mega of a superstar he was. And then he started having multiple back problems over and over and over. And you see where it took him. It took him all the way to the bottom as a player, as a star player, or just a player in the NBA in general. And I just definitely don't want to see that to Kawhi Leonard, because of course he's my favorite player. And I always, looked at him as like one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league, when he's healthy and he's right. And I definitely don't want to see his superpowers being taken away by injuries. And, you never want to see that with any player, especially when you look at a player like LeBron James, who sustained a level of excellence and, just stayed healthy, throughout his career. You feel like your favorite player can do the same thing, but it just goes to show you how hard it really is to do, and then you just got, and not even that, it's more so you gotta be lucky rather than just, staying in shape. There's more to it than just staying in shape and things like that. You gotta have a lot of luck in there. And, fortunately for LeBron, he's had a lot of luck, and unfortunately for other players throughout sports history, they haven't. And hopefully that's not the case for Kawhi. Hopefully he can come back pretty soon, because if it's long term, if it's 2 to 3 weeks or something like that going into the playoffs, somewhere in there, then if he does come back, then you got to hope it doesn't re-aggravate, come back to where it bothers him even more, where he misses time when they enter the playoffs. And, looking at the game, last night, Paul George got to show up more. I've been saying this, if he's going to be the second star, co-star, and pick up if Kawhi is out or something like that, and kind of take that role a little bit, be one of the leaders on the team, you got to step up more. But so does James Harden. It's just no excuse. You still got 2 star players on the floor with a good supporting cast. Now, I do understand when Kawhi goes out, it changes the dynamic and the trajectory of everything, because defensively, their scheme is different, in regards to everything, because he's like the main guy defensively as well. And that's the thing with the Clippers. I've been saying that the Clippers defense as a unit just is not consistent. I understand when one guy goes down, but a lot of games that you look at that they win, Kawhi is pretty much the standout defensive player as well, along with being the team's leading scorer. And then, when Ty Lue puts him in that 4 position, that power forward position, Kawhi is guarding, the 4 and 5 position when he's thrust into that position, when he's in the starting lineup. So you're putting him against bigger guys who's leaning on him more, being more physical with Kawhi. And Kawhi is not, a power forward, really. He plays it at time. He's played it at time in his career, but really Kawhi is a small forward. So he shouldn't be guarding big men. I've seen games this year where he's guarding players like Jokic and players like that. When Jokic leans on you body wise, that's a lot of weight leaning on all your muscles, trying to go against his when you're trying to keep him from out the paint, which you can't do because he's so big. And then there's times where Kawhi has guarded Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is big. He's a big guy. He's tall, lanky, but he's still strong, and that's a lot of body weight you're putting up against Kawhi's body, knowing that he's been injured throughout his career. So Ty Lue has to put Kawhi in better positions, and don't put him at the 4 position. I don't care what starting lineup he puts on the floor. Kawhi needs to be a small forward, and that's it. That's what he needs to be. That's where he thrives at the best. Put Mason Plumlee in there, along with Zubac or something like that, and let them contend with the 4 and 5 position on the opposing team. Don't put Kawhi on there against those 4 and 5 positions, because that's a lot of, those guys are bigger than Kawhi. And like I said, all that weight leaning on you, and you're trying to keep somebody like, hypothetically, like Jokic out the paint, as big as he is, he's like 280 something pounds, leaning on Kawhi's Kawhi's body. That can bother his back. That can bother his shoulders. You see what I'm saying? That takes a lot. That takes a lot more energy expended out of Kawhi just to, try to defend. And then you want him to also defend the perimeter as well. It's like, that's the reason why I think Kawhi and PG don't stay healthy, because just because they're wing players, it's like Ty Lue have them defending big men. I mean, I've seen Paul George do it at times where he's defending somebody like, Jokic himself, trying to stop him from getting into the paint. It's rare, but still, they shouldn't even be on players like that, because a player that's 7 feet tall, 270, 80 something pounds, leaning on Kawhi and PG, they're not that big. You know what I'm saying? They're not that size. You see what I'm saying? And that's like, they're giving up like an extra 50 pounds to somebody bigger, taller, and that actually, is a center, and that's not their position. So I feel like, overworking them a little bit is just not the key. You got 3 big men. Let them guard the big men on other teams. And I've said that earlier this year, and I'm not saying that's the reason why Kawhi back ultimately is, gave out last night. I'm just saying that, little things like that add up over time. When you're guarding out of position, that's why we have position 1 through 5. The ones need to guard the ones, twos, threes, 4, 5, 5. Guard who you're supposed to. Don't guard out of position, because you're giving up size, you're giving up height, you're giving up weight, you're giving up all that. And that takes a toll on your body, especially when you got to go through an 82 game season and try to maintain physically so you can go into the playoffs and try to win it all. So, I mean, those are things that Ty Lue has to think about as well. But I definitely hope that, Kawhi comes out on the better end of this, because Clippers fans don't need no more scares, no more interruptions, and definitely don't need no more, bad situations happening to where the Clippers can't be healthy going into the playoffs. We're already down Russell Westbrook, and hopefully he comes back pretty quick. But then again, you got to look at the situation the way it is. The Clippers are in the 4th seed right now, but they could find themselves in the 6th seed rather easily if they don't find a way to get consistency out of Paul George and James Harden. You're playing 36, 37 minutes, and James Harden's having like 13 points. No, James Harden needs about 19 points and about 10 assists a game consistently to give them a chance to win. And that's the reason why I said before, Kawhi, when you look at a lot of games, Kawhi is being the best defensive player on the team, along with being the best offensive player on the team. Now, I know Kawhi has always been known to do that, but when you have the star power that he has on that team and that this team has, he shouldn't have to be the San Antonio Kawhi Leonard, where he has to be the best defender and the best scorer. That's not the stage he should be at now. And he is a little bit older. He's not an old player, but he is older than what he was then. But at the same time, having help, you're supposed to have help. That's the point of having help. So you don't have to carry the load as much as you used to. That's the reason why Kawhi wanted to come there and get, certain players and allow certain players to be on that team with him, so he don't have to carry the load like he did in Toronto, because it damn near broke him doing that. And he found a way to get it done, but he was injured throughout those playoffs, just trying to get them through the playoffs. And he did. He found a way to win the championship. Kudos to him, of course. But I'm just saying, the point is to not keep going through that over and over when you supposedly have help. And this is the reason why other guys got to step up and be more consistent. It can't just be Kawhi being consistent, being efficient, being consistent on defense, being consistent in regards to being efficient from the field. Other guys got to be more efficient too. James Harden's going through the Hall of Fame just like Paul George is. So, I mean, it's like, a game like last night, even though Kawhi goes out, you still had a lead. You still had, time to, fix things within the game. You didn't really need to fix much because you were up in the game. So it's like, you had opportunities to keep it going, but sometimes the Clippers get, jump shot happy and they don't be aggressive, and, defense is lacking and effort is not there sometimes. And I think that's a huge thing with them. So with that being said, like I said, Kawhi is the main thing to worry about at this point. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully everything, comes out. There's still a chance he can actually go, be up on their upcoming road trip and everything like that. So still a good chance for that. So we're hoping for that just to make sure he's okay. But the conditioning and treatment that he needs, they definitely need to get him all that he needs so he can be right and ready, because it's getting near playoff time and you definitely don't want no hiccups at this point in the season.